The massive chamber stretched for miles in every direction, its crystal walls reflecting the light from 100 different suns. Ambassador Lisa Martinez stood at the center of the vast space, her small human form dwarfed by the towering alien beings that surrounded her. She held a simple metal tablet in her hands, but her heart was beating fast as she looked up at the creatures that would decide her planet's future. Above her, the Galactic Council members sat on floating platforms that moved slowly through the air. Each platform held a different species, some that looked like giant lizards, others like living crystals, and some that seemed to be made of pure energy. They all stared down at Lisa with eyes that showed little interest. Coordinator Zethkar of the Drakmori Empire spoke first. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. His reptilian face showed no emotion as he looked at the human woman below. "So this is the species that calls itself human," he said, his words echoing through the chamber. "They come from a small world on the edge of the galaxy, requesting membership in our great federation." Lisa stepped forward, her voice clear and strong despite her nervousness. "Honored council members, we come in peace. Earth wishes to join the galactic community and share in the knowledge and friendship of all species." She raised the tablet above her head. "We offer our application for membership, along with our commitment to follow all Federation laws and customs." A sound like wind chimes filled the air as Prime Resonance of the Hegemony spoke. The crystalline being's body sparkled with different colors as it communicated. "Your species is very young," it said, its voice like music. "You have only just discovered faster than light travel. Most species take thousands of years to develop such technology. What makes you think you are ready for galactic society?" Lisa had practiced this answer many times. "We may be young, but we are eager to learn. We have ended most conflicts on our world and united under one government. We believe we can contribute to galactic peace." Several of the council members made sounds that Lisa realized were laughter. The noise was not pleasant. A floating jellyfish-like creature spoke up, its tentacles waving in the air. "Peace?" it said in a bubble voice. "Your species has been fighting wars for its entire history. Our scouts report that your planet is covered with weapons and military bases. How can you speak of peace?" Lisa felt her cheeks grow warm, but she kept her voice steady. "It is true that we have had conflicts in the past, but we have learned from them. We believe that preparing for war is sometimes the only way to maintain peace." This caused more laughter from the council. Coordinator Zethkar raised one clawed hand for silence. "Your primitive military thinking amuses us," he said. "But this is not a matter for discussion today. We will consider your application in due time." Just then, alarms began to sound throughout the chamber. The crystal walls flashed red, and urgent messages appeared in the air above each council member. Lisa watched as the aliens read the messages, their expressions changing from boredom to concern. "What is it?" asked Prime Resonance, its crystalline body now glowing bright white. A small robot flew into the chamber, its mechanical voice filling the space. "Emergency report from the Epsilon Tertia system. The Korthic Dominion has launched a surprise attack on the neutral colony world. The population is under bombardment. Estimated casualties already exceed 2 million beings." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Lisa had heard of the Korthic Dominion during her briefings. They were one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy, known for their massive bioships and their habit of attacking without warning. "How many ships do the Korthak have in the system?" asked Coordinator Zethkar. "Reconnaissance reports indicate approximately 400 vessels," the robot replied. "The colony's defenses were overwhelmed within the first hour." Lisa listened as the council members debated what to do. Some wanted to send a fleet immediately, while others argued that it would take too long to assemble enough ships to fight the Korthak. The jellyfish creature pointed out that any rescue mission would likely fail, since the Korthak outnumbered any force they could send. "The Korthak bioships are too strong," said a being that looked like a giant insect. "Their organic weapons dissolve our shields. We would need at least 1,000 ships to have any chance of success." By the time we gather such a force, every being on Epsilon Tertius will be dead, Prime Resonance said sadly. Perhaps we should focus on preventing future attacks instead of attempting a hopeless rescue. Lisa felt something burning in her chest. As she listened to the aliens talk about giving up, she thought about the millions of innocent beings who were dying while the council debated. Without thinking, she stepped forward and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "We can help," she said. The chamber fell silent. Every alien eye turned to look at the small human woman, who had dared to interrupt their discussion. Coordinator Zethkar's laugh was like the roar of a volcano. "You?" he said. "Your species has exactly 5 ships capable of faster-than-light travel. 5 ships against 400 Korthic vessels. Are you suggesting suicide?" Lisa's hands were shaking, but her voice remained steady. "We have military experience that might be useful. Our ships may be few, but our crews are well-trained. We volunteer to assist in any way we can." The laughter that followed was even louder than before. Several council members were making sounds that Lisa guessed. Were there versions of giggling? The insect-like being spoke up, its voice clicking and buzzing. "This is amusing. The primitives want to fight the Korthak with their metal toys." "It would be entertaining to watch," said the jellyfish creature, though brief. Prime Resonance's crystalline body dimmed as it considered the offer. The human fleet would serve as a distraction at best. It might buy us time to plan a real response. Coordinator Zethkar nodded his massive head. "Very well, we accept your offer, humans. Your sacrifice will be remembered, brief though it may be." He turned to address the other council members. "While the humans provide their distraction, we will begin assembling our own forces. Perhaps we can arrive in time to recover their wreckage and study Korthic tactics." Lisa felt a mix of anger and determination as she listened to the aliens discuss her people like they were already dead. She activated her communication device and spoke into it. "Admiral Sullivan, this is Ambassador Martinez. We have council approval for Operation Helping Hand. You are authorized to proceed to Epsilon Tertius immediately." The voice that came back was calm and professional. "Understood, Ambassador. The task force is ready to depart. We'll show these aliens what humans can do." As Lisa closed the communication, she noticed that some of the council members were watching her with what might have been curiosity. Most of them, however, had already turned their attention to other matters, clearly considering the human contribution to be insignificant. "Your ships will be monitored by our long-range sensors," Coordinator Zethkar said dismissively. "We will record their final moments for historical purposes." Lisa straightened her shoulders and looked up at the massive alien. "Thank you for the opportunity to serve, Coordinator. I think you'll find that humans can be quite surprising when we set our minds to something." As she walked out of the chamber, Lisa could hear the aliens returning to their debate about assembling a proper fleet. None of them seemed to think that 5 human ships could make any real difference against 400 Korthic vessels. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The crystal walls of the chamber continued to flash red as emergency reports came in from Epsilon Tertius. The Korthic attack was getting worse with each passing hour. But somewhere in the darkness of space, 5 human ships were already moving toward the battle, their crews preparing for what everyone except them believed would be a hopeless fight. Lisa smiled as she left the council chamber. The aliens had made one very important mistake. They had assumed that humans thought like they did. The space around Epsilon Tertius looked like a graveyard of stars. Burning ships drifted through the darkness, their metal hulls twisted and melted by weapons that ate through armor like acid. The planet below was covered in red clouds where the Korthak bioships had dropped their terrible weapons on the cities. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, watching the destruction through the main screen. Her face was calm, but her hands were clenched into fists as she counted the enemy ships. The Korthak fleet was massive. Hundreds of living vessels that pulsed with organic light as they moved through space like giant sea creatures. "How many? Do you count, Captain Morrison?" she asked the man standing beside her. Captain Jake Morrison looked up from his scanner display. 412 vessels, Admiral. Most of them are heavy cruisers with bioweapon systems. They're arranged in a standard hunting formation around the planet. Admiral Sullivan nodded. The human task force consisted of only 5 ships, but each one was filled with people who had trained their entire lives for moments like this. Behind the Defender came the UES Valiant, the UES Intrepid, the UES Thunder, and the UES Lightning. Small ships by galactic standards, but each one built for war. "Are the observation drones in position?" Sullivan asked. "Yes, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez from the communications station. "The Council has 3 long-range sensor platforms watching from the edge of the system. They're recording everything." Far away in the safe darkness of space, the alien observers waited to watch humanity's destruction. Velthor, the Council's military analyst, floated in his observation pod while his instruments tracked the approaching human ships, the 4-armed. Creature had studied warfare for over 2 centuries, and he had never seen anything as hopeless as what he was witnessing now. "The humans are maintaining their approach," he reported to the Council chambers. 5 vessels against 412. Their ships are crude metal constructions with chemical propulsion systems. The Korthak bioships will dissolve them within minutes. Back on the Defender, Admiral Sullivan opened a communication channel to all 5 human ships. "This is Admiral Sullivan to all vessels. Remember your training. We go in fast, we hit hard, and we don't stop until every civilian on that planet is safe. Are you ready?" The responses came back immediately from each ship. "Use Valiant ready for action. UES Intrepid standing by. UES Thunder loaded and ready. UES Lightning prepared for combat." Captain Morrison looked at the enemy formation on his tactical display. The Korthak ships were spread out in a loose circle around the planet, their bioweapons constantly firing down at the surface. Each ship was 3 times the size of a human vessel, with thick organic armor that could regenerate damage. "Admiral," he said quietly, "the Council observers are probably expecting us to charge straight in and get ourselves killed quickly." Sullivan smiled for the first time since entering the system. "Then let's disappoint them. Execute pattern Delta 7. The human ships suddenly changed direction, spreading out in a formation that the watching aliens had never seen before. Instead of attacking the Korthak fleet directly, they began to move in a wide circle around the entire system. Velthor watched in confusion as the human ships seemed to be running away from the fight. "Curious," he muttered to himself. "Perhaps they have realized the hopelessness of their situation." But the humans were not running. They were positioning themselves like hunters surrounding prey. Each ship took a different path through the asteroid field that ringed the system, using the rocks for cover as they moved into position on the planet below. Colonel Ben Hughes crouched in the ruins of what had once been a beautiful city. His marine unit had been dropped from orbit just minutes after the human fleet arrived, using stealth pods that the Korthak sensors had not detected. Now he and his soldiers were moving through the burning streets, gathering survivors and preparing for the real fight to begin. "Rodriguez, report," he said into his radio. Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez's voice came back through the static. "We have civilians in the subway tunnels, Colonel. About 3,000 of them. They're scared but alive." "Good. Get them to the evacuation point. The real show is about to start." High above the planet, the Korthak commander grew impatient. The small human ships were still moving around the edge of the system, apparently too afraid to attack. The bioship captain, a creature that looked like a cross between a shark and an octopus, ordered his fleet to ignore the humans and continue bombarding the planet. That was exactly what Admiral Sullivan had been waiting for. "All ships, this is Sullivan. Execute Thunder Run. Target the formation leaders first." The human ship suddenly changed direction again, accelerating at speeds that made the watching aliens gasp in surprise. Instead of attacking from one direction, they came at the Korthak fleet from 5 different angles at once. The UES Lightning struck first, launching a barrage of missiles that the Korthak had never seen before. The weapons were small and fast, designed to overwhelm enemy defenses through sheer numbers. Dozens of missiles hit the nearest bioship before it could react, each one carrying explosives that burned through organic armor like fire through paper. "Impossible," whispered Velther as he watched the first Korthic ship explode. "Their weapons are too primitive to penetrate bio-armor, but the humans were just getting started." The UES Thunder came in low and fast, its weapons focused on the Korthic command ship. Instead of trying to match the aliens' bioweapons, the humans used kinetic rounds, simple chunks of metal fired at incredible speeds. The rounds punched through the organic armor like bullets through soft flesh. The Korthic fleet tried to respond, but they had never faced an enemy that attacked from so many directions at once. Their bioships were designed for single combat, not coordinated assaults. As they turned to face one human ship, another would attack from a different angle. Captain Morrison watched his tactical display as the battle unfolded. "Admiral, the enemy is trying to reform their line. They're pulling back toward the planet." "Don't let them," Sullivan replied. "All ships, continue the attack. Keep them confused." The UES Valiant and UES Intrepid moved in perfect coordination, their weapons targeting the Korthic ships that were trying to retreat. The human vessels were smaller and faster than the bioships, able to change direction quickly and attack from unexpected angles. Down on the planet, Colonel Hughes and his Marines were not just hiding and waiting. They had brought weapons that the Korthak had never encountered before. Portable missile launchers that could reach orbit, electronic jamming devices that confused bioship sensors, and most importantly, tactical coordination that allowed them to work together like parts of a single machine. "Target the ships that are firing on the city center," Hughes ordered. "Hit them now." Surface-to-space missiles launched from hidden positions all across the planet. The Korthic ships, focused on the space battle above, never saw the attack coming from below. Several bioships were destroyed by weapons fired from the very planet they were trying to destroy. Valther's instruments were recording everything, but he could barely believe what he was seeing. The humans were using tactics that violated every principle of galactic warfare. They attacked from multiple directions at once, coordinated between space and ground forces, and seemed to anticipate every move the Korthic made. "This is impossible," he transmitted to the Council. "The humans are fighting like they know exactly what the Korthic will do before they do it." The battle was turning into a disaster for the Korthic fleet. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were being destroyed by vessels a third their size. The bioships' organic weapons were powerful, but they were designed for single targets. The humans never gave them a single target to focus on. Admiral Sullivan watched as another Korthic ship exploded under the combined fire of 3 human vessels. "Morrison, how many enemy ships are left?" 237, Admiral. We've destroyed nearly half their fleet." "And our casualties?" "The lightning took some damage to her engine systems, but she's still fighting." "No ships lost? Minimal casualties?" The alien observers could not understand what they were witnessing. 5 human ships were defeating a fleet that should have been unstoppable. The Korthak bioships were retreating, their formation broken and their command structure in chaos, but the humans were not finished. They had learned something that the galactic community had forgotten in their centuries of peace. War was not just about having the biggest weapons or the strongest ships. War was about thinking faster than your enemy, working together better than your enemy, and never giving up until the fight was won. As the last Korthak ships fled the system, Admiral Sullivan opened a channel to the planet below. "Colonel Hughes, report on civilian casualties." "All evacuation zones are secure, Admiral. We saved them all." The alien observers watched in stunned silence as the human fleet began rescue operations, their small ships moving efficiently through the wreckage to search for survivors. What they had just witnessed was impossible according to everything they knew about warfare, but the humans had done it anyway. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. For the first time in thousands of years, every single member sat in perfect silence as they watched the recordings from Epsilon Tertius. The massive screens showed the same impossible scene over and over again, but none of the aliens could believe what they were seeing. Coordinator Zethkar's clawed hands gripped the edge of his floating platform so tightly that the metal began to bend. His reptilian eyes stared at the tactical display that showed the final moments of the battle, where 412 Korthek ships had once dominated the system. Now only empty space remained. The human fleet, all 5 ships still intact, was conducting rescue operations around the planet. "Play it again?" he commanded in a voice that sounded like grinding stone for the 7th time. The holographic display showed the battle from beginning to end, the human ships moving in patterns that made no sense according to galactic military doctrine. The coordinated attacks from multiple directions, the surface-to-space missiles that came from the planet itself, the systematic destruction of the most feared fleet in the galaxy. Prime Resonance's crystalline body flickered between different colors as it processed the information. "The mathematics are impossible," it said in its musical voice. 5 ships cannot defeat 400. The energy requirements alone should have made this battle unwinnable for the humans. The jellyfish-like creature that had laughed at the humans earlier now floated in stunned silence. Its tentacles moved slowly through the water of its environmental tank as it tried to understand what it had witnessed. "They fought like they knew exactly what the Korthek would do," it whispered. "Every move was predicted, every weakness exploited." Velthor, the military analyst, appeared on the main communication screen. His forearms moved frantically as he operated multiple control panels at once. "Honored council members, I have completed my analysis of the battle. The results are disturbing." "Report," ordered Coordinator Zethkar. "The humans did not fight like any species we have encountered before. They used what they called combined arms tactics, coordinating space forces, ground forces, and planetary defenses into a single unified strategy. This is completely unknown in galactic warfare." The insect-like being clicked its mandibles nervously. "But surely their victory was due to luck. The Korthek must have made tactical errors." Velthor's expression grew more troubled. "That is what I thought initially. But after analyzing the battle 17 times, I can confirm that the humans forced the Korthek into making those errors. Every mistake the Korthek made was the result of human actions designed to create those exact mistakes." The chamber erupted in confused voices as the council members tried to process this information. Several of them were speaking at once, their words mixing together in a chaos of disbelief. "Silence!" roared Coordinator Zethkar. "Velthor, continue your report." The human ships moved in formation patterns that we have never seen before. They attacked from multiple directions simultaneously, forcing the Korthak to divide their attention. When the bioships tried to concentrate their fire on one human vessel, the others would attack from different angles. The Korthak fleet was never able to bring their full strength to bear on any single target. Prime Resonance's light patterns shifted to deep blue, indicating deep thought. This suggests a level of tactical sophistication that we did not expect from such a young species. But surely they cannot have many warriors trained in such methods. On the planet below, Colonel Ben Hughes was walking through the ruins of the capital city with Dr. Paul Chun, the human military historian who had arrived with the second wave of rescue ships. The 2 men moved carefully through the debris, helping alien survivors and documenting the Korthik attack methods. "Doctor," Hughes said as they passed a destroyed building, "the Council is probably trying to figure out how we won this battle." Dr. Chun nodded as he made notes on his tablet. "They're probably assuming we got lucky or that we used some kind of secret weapon they don't know about." "What are you going to tell them when they ask?" The historian smiled grimly. "The truth. That what they witnessed wasn't advanced technology or secret weapons. It was just human beings doing what human beings do best. Which is? War, Colonel. We're really, really good at war." Back in the council chambers, the alien leaders were receiving more disturbing reports. Intelligence services from across the galaxy were sending in data about humanity that painted a picture none of them wanted to believe. A tall, thin alien with purple skin materialized as a hologram in the center of the chamber. "Honored Council, this is Intelligence Director Kalmesh of the Hegemony. We have completed our preliminary analysis of human military capabilities based on the Epsilon Tertius engagement. What did you find? Asked Prime Resonance. The human fleet that defeated the Korthik represents approximately 0.7% of Earth's total military capacity. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the background hum of the chamber system seemed to fade away as the implications sank in. That is impossible, said the jellyfish creature. No species devotes that much of their resources to military production. I'm afraid it is accurate, Director Kalmesh replied. Our deep space reconnaissance has confirmed that the human homeworld contains over 15,000 military installations. They have weapons factories on every continent, orbital shipyards around their moon, and defensive platforms throughout their solar system. Coordinator Zethkar's voice was barely a whisper. How many ships do they have? Conservative estimates suggest over 2,000 vessels capable of interstellar combat. However, these numbers may be significantly underestimated, as the humans appear to have been deliberately concealing their true military strength. The chamber erupted again as council members began to panic. The species that they had dismissed as primitive newcomers apparently commanded the largest military force in the galaxy, and they had been completely unaware of it. There's more, Director Kalmesh continued. Our analysis of human society indicates that every adult citizen has some form of military training. Their educational system includes mandatory tactical instruction. Their entertainment media focuses heavily on military themes. Their entire culture appears to be organized around the concept of warfare. Dr. Chun was now standing in the temporary command center that the humans had set up in the city's remains. Around him, alien survivors were being treated by human medics while human engineers worked to restore power and communications. The efficiency of the operation was remarkable, every person knowing exactly what to do without needing detailed instructions. Dr. Chun, called Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez from the communications station. The Council is requesting a briefing on human military doctrine. They want to know how we won the battle. The historian looked around at the organized chaos of the rescue operation. Human soldiers were working alongside alien civilians. Human medics were treating wounded beings they had never seen before. And human engineers were repairing technology they didn't fully understand, yet everything was working perfectly. Tell them I'll be happy to explain, he said. But they're not going to like the answer. 2 hours later, Dr. Chun stood before the Galactic Council via holographic transmission. The alien leaders watched him with expressions that ranged from curiosity to barely concealed fear. Honored Council. Members, he began, you have asked me to explain how 5 human ships defeated 400 Korthik vessels. The answer is simple. We didn't defeat them with superior technology or secret weapons. We defeated them with superior tactics, superior coordination, and superior training. But how is this possible? Asked Prime Resonance. Your species has had faster-than-light travel for less than a decade. How could you have developed such advanced military capabilities so quickly? Dr. Chun smiled sadly. You're making the same mistake that the Korthik made. You're assuming that military capability is about technology. But warfare isn't about having the best weapons. It's about using whatever weapons you have more effectively than your enemy uses theirs. He activated his tablet, and images of Earth's history appeared on the screens around the chamber. Battles from every era of human civilization, from ancient warriors with swords to modern soldiers with advanced weapons. Humans have been fighting wars for our entire recorded history, he continued. We fought with sticks and stones, with swords and spears, with guns and missiles, and now with spaceships and energy weapons. But the principles remain the same. Superior tactics, superior coordination, and superior training. The alien leaders watched in growing horror as the images showed the evolution of human warfare. The tactical innovations, the strategic thinking, the constant adaptation and improvement. Every human child learns basic military tactics in school, Dr. Chun explained. Every human adult knows how to fight as part of a team. We don't just train soldiers. We train our entire population to think like soldiers. Coordinator Zethkar found his voice at last. Are you saying that your entire species is a military force? No, Dr. Chun replied. I'm saying that our entire species knows how to become a military force when necessary. The 5 ships that defeated the Korthik weren't special. They were just humans doing what humans do when innocent people are in danger. 3 days after the Battle of Epsilon Tertius, emergency sessions were being held in secret locations across the galaxy. On the water world of Aquatica, the jellyfish-like beings floated in their council pools, discussing what they had learned about the humans. On the crystal planet of Resonance Prime, the living crystal beings shared information through harmonic frequencies that traveled at the speed of light. On the desert world of Drakmor, the reptilian warriors gathered in their ancient war chambers for the first time in centuries. All of them were asking the same question. How powerful were the humans really? General Lavra Mitchell walked through the corridors of the UES Defender as it orbited Epsilon Tertius. She was Earth's highest-ranking military officer, and she had arrived with the relief fleet that came to help with rescue operations. The ship around her buzzed with activity as human crews worked alongside alien refugees, but her mind was focused on the meeting she was about to attend. The Galactic Council had demanded an emergency briefing on human military capabilities. They wanted to know exactly what they were dealing with. General Mitchell had been chosen to give them that briefing, and she knew that her words would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Admiral Sullivan met her at the communications center. General, the council is ready for you. I should warn you, they seem very nervous. General Mitchell nodded. They should be nervous. Once they learn the truth, the galaxy will never be the same. The holographic projectors activated, and suddenly General Mitchell was standing in a virtual version of the council chambers. The alien leaders sat on their floating platforms around her, but now their body language showed fear instead of dismissal. Coordinator Zethkar S. Claus tapped nervously against his platform, while Prime Resonance's crystalline body flickered with anxious energy. General Mitchell, Coordinator Zethkar began, his voice carefully controlled. We have asked for this meeting to better understand your species' military capabilities. Our analysis of the Epsilon Tertius battle has raised concerns. I understand your concerns, General Mitchell replied calmly. You're worried that you've misjudged humanity's strength. You're worried that the small fleet you witnessed was just the beginning. You're worried that you might have accidentally made enemies of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The silence that followed her words was profound. Several council members shifted uncomfortably on their platforms. Are our concerns justified? Asked Prime Resonance. General Mitchell activated her tablet, and a 3-dimensional map of Earth appeared in the center of the chamber. The planet slowly rotated, showing the locations of military installations marked in red. There were thousands of them, covering every continent and extending into orbit around the planet. This is Earth as it exists today, she said simply. Every red dot represents a military installation. Naval bases, army posts, air force stations, spaceports, weapons factories, training centers, research facilities, and command headquarters. The alien leaders stared at the map in growing horror. The red dots were so numerous that they almost covered the entire planet. How many soldiers do you have? Whispered the jellyfish creature. Every human citizen is trained for military service. General Mitchell replied, We have a population of approximately 8 billion people. Of those, roughly 1 billion are currently serving in active military roles. Another 2 billion are in reserve status, meaning they can be called to active duty within 72 hours. The remaining 5 billion have completed basic military training and can serve as support personnel if needed. Coordinator Zethkar S. Claus scraped against his platform. You're saying that your entire population is a potential army? Not potential, General Mitchell corrected. Actual. Every human learns basic weapons training, tactical thinking, and military organization. We don't just train soldiers. We train citizens who can become soldiers when necessary. The map of Earth changed, now showing the locations of human military vessels throughout the solar system. Hundreds of ships patrolled the space around Earth, while thousands more were docked at orbital shipyards or hidden in asteroid bases. Our space fleet currently consists of over 3,000 vessels, General Mitchell continued. These range from small patrol craft to heavy battleships capable of destroying entire fleets. The 5 ships that fought at Epsilon Tertius were reconnaissance vessels, designed for scouting and light combat operations. Reconnaissance vessels? Prime Resonance's voice cracked like breaking crystal. Those were your smallest ships? Our smallest combat vessels, General Mitchell clarified. We also have support ships, transport vessels, and civilian craft that can be converted to military use if needed. In total, humanity controls approximately 15,000 spacecraft of various types. The alien leaders were no longer trying to hide their fear. Several of them were communicating with their home governments through emergency channels, sending warnings about the threat that humanity represented. Dr. Paul Chun was still on the surface of Epsilon Tertius, documenting the aftermath of the Korthik attack. As he worked, his communication device buzzed with urgent messages from intelligence services across the galaxy. Every major species was trying to learn more about human military doctrine, and they all wanted to talk to the historian who had become humanity's unofficial spokesman. He answered a call from the hegemony's military research division. The crystalline being on the screen was vibrating with nervous energy. Dr. Chun, it said in its musical voice, we have been analyzing human military history, and we have discovered something troubling. Your species appears to have been in a state of continuous warfare for your entire recorded history. That's correct, Dr. Chun replied calmly. Humans have been fighting wars for over 5,000 years. But how is this possible? Most species achieve peace once they develop advanced technology. Why do humans continue to fight? Dr. Chun smiled sadly. Because we learned something that other species apparently didn't. We learned that the only way to maintain peace is to be so prepared for war that no one wants to fight you. Back in the council chambers, General Mitchell was showing the aliens something that terrified them even more than humanity's military strength. She displayed charts showing human military research and development programs. We currently spend approximately 30% of our global resources on military research, she explained. Our scientists are constantly developing new weapons, new tactics, and new technologies. We have research programs focused on space warfare, planetary assault, defensive systems, electronic warfare, biological weapons, energy weapons, and kinetic weapons. Why? Asked the insect-like being, its mandibles clicking frantically. Why do you devote so much effort to warfare? Because we've learned that the universe is a dangerous place, General Mitchell replied. Before we met you, we assumed that any alien species we encountered would be hostile, so we prepared accordingly. She activated another display showing human military training exercises. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as human soldiers practiced coordinated assaults, fleet maneuvers, and planetary invasions. Every human military unit trains constantly, General Mitchell continued. We run war games, combat simulations, and tactical exercises on a daily basis. Our soldiers don't just know how to fight. They know how to fight together as a coordinated force. Coordinator Zeth Carr found his voice again. General Mitchell, are you saying that humanity has been preparing for galactic warfare since before you made contact with us? Yes, she replied simply. We've been preparing for the possibility of hostile alien contact for over a century. The fleet that defeated the Korthik wasn't improvising. They were executing battle plans that we've been developing and refining for decades. The alien leaders exchanged glances of pure terror. They had invited a species into the galactic community that had been preparing to conquer it. But there's something else you need to understand, General Mitchell continued. All of this military preparation isn't because we want to conquer anyone. It's because we want to protect everyone. She displayed images from the rescue operations. On Epsilon Tertius, human soldiers were working tirelessly to save alien civilians. Human medics were treating wounded beings they had never seen before. And human engineers were rebuilding infrastructure for people who weren't even their own. Species. We prepare for war so that we can maintain peace, she explained. We train our soldiers so that when innocent people are in danger, we can help them. We build weapons so that when evil threatens the innocent, we can stop it. Prime Resonance's crystalline body began to glow with a soft, warm light. You're saying that all of this military power exists to protect others? That's exactly what I'm saying, General Mitchell replied. Humans believe that those who are strong have a responsibility to protect those who are weak. We've built the most powerful military force in the galaxy not to conquer but to serve. The chamber fell silent as the alien leaders processed this information. Everything they thought they knew about warfare and military power was being turned upside down. General, Coordinator Zethkar said slowly, what do you want from us? General Mitchell smiled. We want the same thing we've always wanted. We want to join the galactic community as friends and allies. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Epsilon Tertia, and the galaxy was a very different place. The massive council chambers on Nexus Prime had been rebuilt to accommodate new members, with special platforms designed for human representatives. The crystal walls still reflected light from 100 different suns, but now they also displayed the symbols of the new Galactic Defense Alliance. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the center of the chamber, wearing the uniform of Strategic Defense. Coordinator. The insignia on his shoulders showed the combined symbols of dozens of species, all working together under human military leadership. Around him, alien representatives sat quietly as he presented the monthly security report. The Korthik Dominion has formally requested peace negotiations, he announced. Their remaining fleets have withdrawn to their home systems and ceased all aggressive actions. Intelligence reports suggest they are restructuring their entire government to focus on peaceful expansion rather than conquest. Coordinator Zethkar, who now served as the Council's Diplomatic Affairs Director, nodded approvingly. The humans have achieved in 6 months what we failed to accomplish in 6 centuries. The Korthak haven't been this peaceful since before they developed space travel. In the months following humanity's revelation, the galaxy had undergone a complete transformation. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years were now working together, united by their shared understanding that humanity's military might could protect them all. More importantly, they had learned that humans actually wanted to protect them. Colonel Ben Hughes walked through the corridors of the new multi-species training academy on Luna, Earth's moon. The facility was massive, with training areas designed for beings from dozens of different worlds. In one section, crystalline beings from the hegemony were learning human tactical coordination. In another, aquatic species were practicing amphibious assault techniques in specially designed pools. How are the new recruits progressing? Asked Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez as she joined him at an observation window. Better than expected, Hughes replied, watching as a mixed unit of humans and aliens executed a perfect flanking maneuver. The Drakmori picked up small unit tactics faster than any species we've trained. The hegemony beings are natural at electronic warfare, and the Aquatic Federation troops are incredible at underwater operations. Below them, a young Drakmori warrior was working with a human sergeant to coordinate a complex attack pattern. The reptilian being's natural aggression, combined with human tactical knowledge, created a formidable fighting team. The most important thing, Hughes continued, is that they're learning to work together. 6 months ago, most of these species had never even spoken to each other. Now they're fighting side by side. The transformation hadn't been easy. Many alien species had initially been terrified of humanity's military power. Some had suggested that humans should be contained or controlled before they became too dangerous. But events across the galaxy had proven that human intentions were genuine. When the Void Hunters had attacked the peaceful trader coalition, human ships had arrived within hours to drive them off. When natural disasters struck the mining worlds of the Industrial Collective, human engineers had rebuilt entire cities. When pirates threatened the civilian transport routes, human patrols had made space travel safe again. Ambassador Lisa Martinez was now serving as the Director of Interspecies Relations. Working from a new embassy that had been built on Nexus Prime, her office overlooked the council chambers, and she could see the daily meetings where representatives from hundreds of worlds worked together to solve galactic problems. "Dr. Chun," she said to the historian who was visiting her office, "I've been thinking about something you said after the battle. You mentioned that humans are good at war, but you never mentioned that we're also good at peace." Dr. Paul Chun smiled as he looked out at the bustling activity in the chambers below. "Actually, Lisa, I think those two things are connected. We're good at peace because we understand war. We know how terrible conflict can be, so we work extra hard to prevent it." In the chambers below, a heated debate was taking place about trade routes through disputed territory. In the old days, such disputes had often led to wars that lasted for decades. Now, human mediators were helping the different species find solutions that worked for everyone. "The key," Dr. Chun continued, "is that we've shown the galaxy something they never expected. We've shown them that strength and kindness can exist in the same species, that the most powerful military force in the galaxy can also be the most dedicated to peace." The proof of this philosophy was visible everywhere on Nexus Prime. Human soldiers worked alongside alien security forces to keep the peace. Human engineers collaborated with alien scientists to solve technical problems. Human medics treated patients from dozens of different species in the expanded medical centers. But perhaps the most significant change was in the military academies that had been established throughout the galaxy. For the first time in galactic history, different species were learning to fight together as unified forces. General Lavra Mitchell was visiting the academy on the water world of Aquatica, where aquatic and amphibious species were learning human naval tactics. She stood on the deck of a human ship as it conducted training exercises with vessels from the Aquatic Federation. "General," called Captain Sophia Davis, the Academy's commandant, "the joint exercise results are remarkable. The Aquatic Federation ships have improved their coordination by over 300% since beginning human tactical training." General Mitchell nodded as she watched alien vessels executing complex maneuvers with human precision. "It's not just about tactics, Captain. It's about trust. These species are learning that they can depend on each other in combat, which means they can trust each other in peace." The transformation was most visible in the former war zones. The border between the Drakmori Empire and the hegemony had been a battlefield for over 2,000 years. Now it was the site of a joint research station where both species worked together on defensive technologies. The Korthek Dominion, once the galaxy's most feared aggressor, had completely restructured their society. Their bioships, once used for destruction, were now being converted into mobile hospitals and research vessels. Their military leaders were attending human academies to learn about peacekeeping operations. "The most interesting thing," Dr. Chun told Ambassador Martinez, "is that we haven't actually conquered anyone. We've just shown them a better way to use their strength." The changes weren't limited to military matters. The entire galactic economy had been transformed as species that had once been enemies began trading with each other. Cultural exchanges were taking place on a scale never before imagined. Art, music, literature, and scientific knowledge flowed freely between worlds that had been isolated for millennia. In the council chambers, Prime Resonance was presenting a report on the cultural integration programs. Its crystalline body glowed with warm colors as it spoke about the success of interspecies cooperation. "The human concept of united we stand, divided we fall has become the foundation of our new galactic society," it announced. "Species that once viewed each other as enemies now see each other as family." The first graduation ceremony of the Human Galactic Military Academy was being held in the largest arena on Nexus Prime. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds gathered to watch as the first class of integrated military officers received their commissions. Captain Morrison stood at the podium, looking out at the graduating class. Humans stood alongside Drakmori warriors, hegemony crystals, Aquatic Federation soldiers, and representatives from dozens of other species. All of them wore the same uniform, All of them had learned the same lessons, and all of them were committed to the same goal, protecting the innocent and maintaining peace. Today, he announced, you become more than soldiers. You become guardians of peace, protectors of the weak, and defenders of justice. You represent the best hope for a galaxy where all species can live together in harmony. As the ceremony concluded, Ambassador Martinez stood with Dr. Chun on a balcony overlooking the celebration. Below them, beings from across the galaxy were celebrating together, their differences forgotten in their shared commitment to peace. "Paul," she said quietly, "do you think this will last? Can we really maintain peace across the entire galaxy?" Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment, watching human children play with alien youngsters in the plaza below. "Lisa, I think we've learned something important. Peace isn't the absence of the ability to fight. Peace is having the ability to fight and choosing not to use it except to protect others." He pointed to a group of young officers from different species who were working together to plan a humanitarian mission. "Look at them. They're not thinking about conquest or domination. They're thinking about how to help people. That's the real revolution we've brought to the galaxy." As the sun set over Nexus Prime, the lights of 1,000 different worlds twinkled in the sky above. Each one represented a species that had chosen cooperation over conflict, unity over division, and peace over war. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to protect.